What's up, original fans? Welcome back to another video, and today, well, this must be one of the first ones on YouTube. It's a review of the S24 Ultra. I jest, of course. There are bloomin', I was going to swear, but I think within the first minute of YouTube you shouldn't do that. There are bloody millions of these, so why the hell would you care about my review? Well, maybe you don't. But I am going to try and give you my honest opinions on the new S24 Ultra, why I believe it's better than the S23 Ultra, why I believe you shouldn't upgrade from your S23 Ultra, and why I still prefer foldable phones. Let's go. Now, like every review I do going forward and previously, I've got a 5 category scoring system based on 5 points for each category. It's build quality, design, software, cameras, and price. So I'll be scoring the S24 Ultra as if it was its own phone. Not when I score this, I'm not comparing it to other phones. This is just for that one. So the first thing I want to talk about is that design. It's not changed, has it? But, again, remember, this is a new phone, so I have to compare it objectively. The S24 Ultra's design for me is clean, and as far as what's new, there's actually a couple of new things in the design. And that's the fully flat display for the first time ever in an Ultra Samsung device, and the titanium outer rails. Now, no, this is not revolutionary. We know other phone manufacturers that have used titanium recently. But for me, and I mentioned this in a previous video, the feeling in the hand, this is the most ergonomic and most premium feeling Samsung Ultra device I've ever held. So between the titanium, the flat display, the slightly lighter by like a gram device, and the squared off but still a bit rounded edges. Everything just feels super premium in the hand. And I personally really like the design of this phone. Yes, it's not as in your face as the X7 Ultra, for example, but from a more subtle aesthetic, especially in this nice orange hue colour I picked up, I like the design. And we'll talk about it in build quality. But to tie in with design, it's a super durable phone. So design round is always going to be objective or subjective. It depends on you, what you like. I probably lean more towards the X7 Ultra as far as I love that big camera and I like a vegan leather back. Most of my phones have a vegan leather back. So based on that, I'll give design a 4 out of 5. It's not my favourite, but there's nothing offensive about the S24 Ultra. Now, tying on to the design, we have to talk about build quality. And I have to say, folks, when we talk about what's new between the S23 Ultra and the S24 Ultra, this is where most of it happens. I've already mentioned, as far as build quality, we've got titanium. A lighter and stronger material than aluminium. Fact. We've got Gorilla Glass Victus armour. Stronger, more scratch-resistant screen. We've got IP68 water and dust resistance. Keep in mind there's an S Pen in here, so the fact that that's all sealed up as well. I personally think the S24 Ultra is the most durable and best built flagship phone out there just now. So for that reason, I have to give it a 5 in build quality. And I just want to expand upon a point there. The armoured glass, Gorilla Armour, or whatever they're calling it, is not only more scratch resistant, and guys, I've seen comments, and I keep seeing this, so I'm going to address you directly. Titanium scratches, obviously, it's a coating. There's a colour. The titanium is actually underneath that coating. The titanium isn't scratching like you see stainless steel, it's just the paint coating. So I just wanted to clear that up. I also wanted to clear up, take all your biased against Samsung, and trust me, I am one of those people. For example, I am a huge foldable phone fan, as you all know. But the Z Fold 5 and what Samsung have done for the past years is one of the laziest interpretations of a foldable device. And for that, I slam Samsung all the time. All the time, I say they've rested on their laurels and are lazy. But when Samsung do something great, like that new screen, I have to praise them. And the third thing about the screen, the anti-reflective coating. Again, a first in its class. No other flagship devices have that anti-reflective coating as standard. It's the glass itself. You can see the differences. I've highlighted a few times. I'll bring up some stock footage between this and the X7 Ultra. Night and day. So because of all that, that justifies my 5 out of 5 rating for build quality. Now we move on to software. This is an area where Samsung have dominated, even on the Fold phone that I don't like as much. The software, One UI, the optimization, the fact that on the S24 Ultra they seem to have been in bed with Google and they're actually getting, in my opinion, they've made their device more googly than the Google Pixel 8 Pro in my opinion, and everything works. First time, for me, every time. I've not had a bug on my retail unit whatsoever. I've not had anything not work. Everything's just seamless. Multitasking, yeah, you can do it on a candy bar phone, but I typically leave that to my Fold phones. S Pen support, the software of the S Pen, being able to control the camera app and other apps just using gestures and air actions. Yeah, no other flagship phone does that. And people have to remember that. What Samsung are doing, while they might not have changed the look of the S24 Ultra, they're always trying to innovate when it comes to the inners, the software, the functionality. So they have to be applauded for that. So for me, One UI is a benchmark. That's where it's the gatekeeper. Everybody wants to strive to be as good as that. So for that reason alone, it has to be a 5. But this year, what they've introduced on the S24 Ultra, which will come to the S23 Ultra, but right now it's on the S24 Ultra, the circle to search. Absolutely game-changing, something I never knew I was missing from my life. Having those moments, we've all been there. We've sat in the pub, we've seen a picture and we've said, oh, who's that again? Or we're watching a movie and we can't remember the actor's name. Or you're watching a football or something and you can't remember the player. Well, snap a picture, circle that picture, and within 0.2 seconds, you're not going to know who the player is. You're going to know their height, size, weight, salary, everything you want to know about them. The Google Circle to Search is a fantastic feature. I'm aware that Google Lens done this, but Circle to Search just seems so much more futuristic and accurate in my testing. So I love that software. I love that, again, there's new things. Now, there are other things that I've not tested. I clearly don't have a diverse enough friend group because I was looking around and nobody I know speaks a different language, but they do have instant call translation, text translation, all incorporated into the Samsung S24 Ultra, but again, coming to the S23 Ultra. All this goes in to say that you know where this is going, but software is a 5 out of 5. If there was 6 points available, they would get 6 for it. Now, the penultimate round is cameras, and I want to tie in a couple of things first, though. I mentioned about you decide what the S Pen falls under, whether it's software or hardware or whatever. The simple fact is, when it comes to cameras, the S Pen comes in super handy for a couple of key reasons. This isn't new to the S24 Ultra, but it's on the S24 Ultra, so I have to include it. Being able to use your S Pen to take photos from 10, 20, 30 feet away, to be able to take a selfie from ages away, group shots, controlling the zoom, going to video mode, everything you can do with the S Pen is fantastic on the app. And again, I've mentioned this, no other candy bar flagship does this. No iPhone, no Oppo, no Sony, nothing. So the fact that you can control your camera with the Bluetooth pen from, you know, yards away, I really enjoy that. Now, do I use it very much? No, but it's there. Quad camera setup in the rear of the S24 Ultra, 4K video recording on all lenses, 4K video recording on the front 12 megapixel selfie camera. Fantastic. As far as differences between this and the S23 Ultra, there's basically none. The only one difference when it comes to cameras is on the rear, and it's the new 5x optical zoom lens, which has replaced the older 10x optical zoom lens, which on paper seems like a step back, but in practice, it's a side step at worst, maybe even a step up. To me, it's a slight step up because of the sharpness. Previously, it was a 10x, 10 megapixel optical zoom. Now it's a 5x, 50 megapixel optical zoom. And that difference in megapixels has definitely made a difference to sharpness and clarity at that maximum zoom range. One thing I would also say is it's far more practical, like on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, to get a 5x optical shot for thumbnails, portraits, whatever it is you want to use it for. The 10x, I mean, somebody's quite far away for you to use a 10x. So the 5x is probably more functional in day-to-day life. Now, as far as the images and the videos they produce, I've done a whole camera test in comparison between this and the X7 Ultra. I like the Samsung shots. Some are oversaturated, but for the first time on an Android device, and this includes the X7 Ultra, the Samsung is the most consistent, reliable, and stable Android video performance I've been able to use yet. Zooming in through all lenses while taking video is absolutely game-changing for an Android device. The stabilization modes are fantastic. And then just the images it produces, the colors, everything's really great. I'm not going to take, this video would be way too long, so I'll link the Versus camera test with the X7 Ultra below. But as you've seen some samples, the videos, the photos, and obviously the zoom. I mentioned the zoom. Photos look fantastic. Yes, at 100 times, it's, you know, a bit potato-like, but you still get an idea of what you're looking at, that's for sure. Now, actually, for scoring the camera round, this was actually really tricky because whereas software there, the benchmark, last year I put the Xiaomi 13 Ultra as my favourite camera phone. I thought that produced the best photos. And then this year, Oppo have released the X7 Ultra. The X7 Ultra, I believe, got 4.5 out of 5 in my review of that. So to keep it fair, I'm going to give Samsung the same. Purely because, more often than not, the photos on the X7 Ultra were better than the Samsung. I'm talking marginally here. Don't all get on your high horse, or Samsung Knights, don't kill me. But marginally, and not every one. Maybe like 6 out of 10 were better than the Oppo, and 4 out of 10 were better than the Samsung. When it came to video, however, that was definitely flipped. I'd say that 8 out of 10 video was better on the Samsung and 2 out of 10 on the Oppo. The overall camera experience though, with the stability, the pro modes, the 120 frames per second slow motion that you can do from 4K is, again, first on an Android. But it's not a 5 out of 5 camera. I can't give it a 5 out of 5, so I'm going to give it 4.5 out of 5. It is a step up on the S23 Ultra because of that 5x zoom lens in my opinion, and obviously the 8 Gen 3 processor, all that stuff. So yeah, 4.5 out of 5 for camera. Now the Samsung is doing really well, and for context, the highest performing phone so far was the Oppo Find X7 Ultra with 21.5 out of 25. The Samsung, by my maths, only needs 3 points in the final round, which is price. Sadly, the Samsung is going to struggle to even reach 3 points, in my opinion. This goes two ways. If you buy a Samsung with a Samsung device to trade in, I believe the price is actually a solid 3 or 4 out of 5, quite easily. Because typically with a trade-in you'll get between $500 and $900. You're going to get deals to get double the storage, you'll get a free gift included. But that's all early bird pre-order deals. If you aren't getting these pre-order deals, and if you haven't got a Samsung S23 Ultra to trade in, then £1,249 for a candy bar style phone, I can't give that more than a 3. It's so expensive. It really is. When you consider that, again, this comes with deals, but you can get an Honor Magic V2 global version, a folding phone with 2 screens, a huge 7.9-inch screen inner, the world's thinnest and lightest foldable phones with a really great camera setup. When you consider you can get that for basically the same price as actually cheaper than the S24 Ultra, because the Honor is 512 gigabytes of storage. After the pre-order deals, if you want a ½ terabyte of the Samsung, then it's going to be $1349. So the Honor is actually cheaper with some deals than the S24 Ultra. So I can't give the Samsung any higher than a 3. Now there's a couple of areas that don't have categories, however I absolutely need to touch on them. The first one being battery life. It's the same 5000 mAh battery, but what is different is the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip. So far, if I'm being entirely honest, which you know I'll always be, I'm not seeing a big difference in battery life between the S23 and the S24 Ultra. I'm also, and this is just my use case scenario because I don't game loads, I've never played Genshin Impact, which every YouTube reviewer seems to, put on a pedestal. But I have yet to notice any performance issues with the 8 Gen 1, let alone the 8 Gen 2 or now 3. So for me, I've never pushed a phone to its limits. I know that benchmarks, and I reported on this in a previous video, the benchmark scores in 8 Gen 3 are fantastic, but I've said for a long time, anything past the 888 Snapdragon is probably more than enough power than you need. I think the 8 Gen 3, with all the benefits it brings, is probably more in efficiency. And it's probably quite a good thing that the battery life has stayed the same, because with all the power that this Samsung S24 Ultra takes, the photo processing, the circle to search, it needs a big battery and it needs a high performing and efficient processor. I just wanted to touch on that this isn't a big upgrade from the S23 Ultra in terms of battery life and chipset, because I know I'll get questions about that in the comments. So now overall, when I add up the scores, it's a draw. It's the S24 Ultra on 21.5 out of 25. In the past 6 weeks, I have reviewed the Vivo X100 Pro, the Oppo Find X7 Ultra, and now the Samsung S24 Ultra. That is your top 3 Android devices, maybe ever. Android candy bar devices, maybe ever. Honestly, folks, you want tech to improve year on year, but the differences that are coming through with the chipsets and the cameras and the focus on design and build quality, very encouraging for phone fans in 2024. Now, at the start of the video, I mentioned that the S24 Ultra is fantastic, and you've just seen the score, but I did say that you shouldn't upgrade if you've got the S23 Ultra. 3 reasons why. 1, cameras are basically the exact same. Swap out the 10x or the 5x. 2, chipset, 8 Gen 2 and 8 Gen 3, basically the same, including battery, basically the same. 3, the differences when it comes to software for circle to search and the AI integration with phone calls and messages coming to the S23 Ultra. Why upgrade? If you don't have the money, don't think you're missing out, because you're really not missing out. You're going to slap a case in it, so it's not like you're going to see the titanium rails. So, I'm always going to keep it real with you. Keep your S23 Ultra. Be delighted with that. And if you're in the market for a new flagship phone and you've got £700 to £800, you can get an S23 Ultra used. Mint condition, I'm sure. Have a look around. Save yourself some cash. Now, as far as my personal use case scenario, while the S24 Ultra is, you know, one of the best, if not the best candy bar style phone ever made, in my opinion, doesn't fold. And I'm a foldable phone guy. The Honor Magic V2 is my daily driver. The Honor Magic V2 is up there with the OnePlus Open as the best foldable phone, which in turn for me personally makes it one of the best phones ever. So hopefully you've enjoyed this content. Hopefully I've answered some questions along the way. I know that you won't agree with me, but that's okay. That's what the comment section's all about. Leave your comments down below if you've got any questions or if you have differing opinions on the scores I've given. Have I been too kind to Samsung? I'm sure you're going to let me know. I appreciate all the support. We're about to hit 15,000 subscribers, which is a fantastic milestone for me, but you know I want to get more, so let's make it 20 soon. Until next time.